Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast.
And here's your host, Jana, and her big brother, Jeff. All right, we got the field all chalked up, and the grass is all cut, and we're ready for another edition of Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. This week, we head to Pennsylvania, where at least one team full of guys probably could just barely be out of Little League. They're so young. We'll take a look and see the story of teams going in different directions. One in a free fall, the other one steadily climbing up the ranks. And a guy that we were going to mention probably anyway, now we have to mention. All of that is ahead this week on SRBB. All right, unlike last year where it was just the U.S. teams in Williamsport, it is a full complement of teams, international and U.S., playing for a chance to win this year's Little League World Series.
Yeah, 75 years of the Little League World Series, and this is the first year that they've expanded the teams to 20, and also the first year since the pandemic where international teams are participating. That was last time they were there was 2019, and of course 2020 everything was canceled, and then last year in 2021 only U.S. teams were allowed to participate, and this year they are back in the stands and having fun in Williamsport.
Now, as of the time of recording, there'll be a couple of games that we will have missed, unfortunately, as far as like talking about now. We'll talk about them next week because the championship game is on the 28th, the Sunday, August 28th. So we'll have a winner. I'm sure there's a bunch of kids that are going to be unhappy when this is all over because that means they got to go home and go to school.
Yeah, I think that's the worst part. They have to go to school.
Right. After a fun summer of playing baseball, that is going to come to an end, but they're going to have dreams and great memories of this. Let's start real quick before we mention like who's looking at maybe moving on based on what we know at the time of recording. Let's talk real quick about the Little League Baseball Classic, which brings a couple of major league teams to town. Last year we talked about a lot because the Angels were there. This year it was the Baltimore Orioles and the Boston Red Sox. I think the Red Sox were considered the home team, and it was actually a pretty decent game overall. 5-3 win by the Orioles. More importantly, these guys just had a great time out there with the Little Leaguers, sliding down the hill, answer questions, and quite a few of them were remembering playing Little League, whether they made it all the way to Williamsport or not. Orioles infielder Tyler Nevin, who played at Poway Little League in Southern California, down near San Diego, said that whenever he saw a shooting star or, blew all the little things, the tentacle things or whatever they're called off of a dandelion, that being able to play in Williamsport was his, that was the goal. That was the dream. And then Alex Cora, the manager of the Red Sox, was talking about what a big part in his life the Little League was, because his dad started a Little League in 1969 down in Puerto Rico. And both he and his brother both played, Little League baseball. And because his dad was such a big part of that, it was like all consuming of their lives was Little League baseball. Alex's brother, Joey, has seen, while playing with the Pirates or being with the Pirates, two different of these Little League World Series baseball classics. So it was looked like it was fun, had by all. But when you look at it, like Adley Rutschman, the catcher, he's like 20, 21 or something at the most. it's not been so long that he was playing Little League. Rafael Devers talked about, playing Little League and what a big part of his life playing Little League was. So
I thought it was funny. The Orioles wore their orange jerseys, so I guess they'd be more recognizable when they're walking through the crowd. And the pitcher, one of the pitchers for the Orioles, Spencer Watkins, he was walking through the crowd. He had slid down the hill, was walking through the crowd, and this one kid comes running up to him and is just looking at him. And he said, "Are you really the Orioles?" And he's like, "Yep, we are." And then it was cool. Adley Rushman was giving autographs for an autograph. So he had the kids sign his jersey and he would sign a ball.
Oh, that's cool.
For them. So I thought that was really cool. And it's neat to see these big leaguers out, like you said, the Orioles are not that much older than far removed from Little League, I guess, in a way. But to see them like jumping into it, they're, going down the hill, here's some cardboard, go down the hill. They're
Right.
And some of them, especially the Orioles, they're like, they were really getting into it, like knocking each other, like racing dirty down the hill with some of them. But yeah, so I always think that the Little League World Series game where they, with the matchups, I don't think it really matters. I mean, you think, oh, the Red Sox and the Orioles, and now with the Orioles where they are, it's like, oh, okay, the Orioles, and where, coming up in the standings. But I think it's just the love of baseball through a little leaguer's eyes, and that these major leaguers take that on when they get to Williamsport. It's like they're transformed.
Right. Yeah, that's the one thing. And I think that was kind of cool this year that it worked out that the Orioles were there because they're a surging team. This could just add to the fun that they're having overall. But you can see, hey, here's a bunch of young guys who are all starting. And for kids, that's why I was saying they're much closer in age than having, a bunch of veteran guys show up who are, last year Shohei was there, he's farther removed, but he was there. And when you get older players, they're not necessarily, they're there. Yeah, we know you love us because we're established players, but these guys can relate a little bit more. And the kids can see, hey, if you're working hard, not only could you make it to the bigs, but you could be part of a team that's coming together, playing baseball the right way, and being successful at it. With that, the Orioles did win this one 5-3. Jorge Mateo with a 2-run double in the top of the ninth that holds off the Red Sox, who had a couple of homers late in the game, but were unable to pull it out. So looking ahead, there were quite a few games on Monday. That led to some matchups coming up as we whittle the field down more towards the championship. And like I said, we're going to see Saturday and Sunday's games are going to be those working towards the losers game, which is the last two to lose, and then the winners, the last two to win for the championship. Like I said, there were, quite a few games. Obviously, a lot of games have gone on right around this time frame. There's games going on, in the last couple of days that we weren't able to talk about, just simply because of when we record the show. You have, games today, but we're down to just 2 games on Thursday today, and then Friday's off, and then you've got Saturday and Sunday for the matchups. Looking back at from Monday, the 22nd, quite a few games, including international teams playing. Mexico beating Canada 10-0. And there were a few other games.
Yeah, we had Hagerstown, Indiana, playing Nolensville, Tennessee, and Nolensville pulled out the win in that one 5-2. And then Honolulu Little League, which we have seen in the past, where they've gotten, the teams from Hawaii look really good when they come to the Little League World Series. They shut out Pearland, Texas, 6-0. So Nolensville will move on, and they will play Honolulu.
So that means that for some of the games we had, like the Great Lakes region versus the Mid-Atlantic region, Canada versus the Caribbean, Panama versus Latin America. Those teams, the winners of the Canada versus the Caribbean game, or Caribbean, if you're so inclined, will move on to play, as will the winner of the matchup between the Great Lakes versus Mid-Atlantic, or the Southwest versus the Midwest teams will play also on Wednesday for the right to play on Thursday. So you'll have, a lot of different matchups on your way in. Now, the question is, what's going to happen with Iowa? Because Iowa, who is the Midwest representative, has had a little bit of controversy pop up. One thing was that one of the pitchers, during a little break in the action, they're leading in their game, and when the manager of the Iowa team comes out to talk to the pitcher, because you got two guys on with the lead, and he's heard on because some of the managers or the coaches have been mic'd up, and there's mics all around, can be heard saying the fix is in. ESPN would rather Washington was the team they were playing. Washington win.
Because ESPN likes it.
Yes, because ESPN likes it. So the fix is in. I don't know. To me, it sounds like we've got a conspiracy theorist in the making here with this kid. But they end up winning. And the other thing that I saw, and maybe you saw more about it, I didn't see. There was an instance on the game, during the game on Sunday, during the Big League Classic game, or the Little League Classic game, where the Iowa players were putting cotton balls on top of a player's head. Of course, this yelled out, "What's going on?" Because the player that they were doing that was like one of the few black players on the team. And everybody automatically races to, why are they putting cotton balls on the black player's head? Now, Little League Baseball's come out and said, hey, we were assured there's nothing racist about it. But when you see the pictures, the kid that's getting it doesn't look happy about it. It's not like it's a game or fun. But his parents even said, hey, there's nothing going on. It's just something. But I never got a full explanation, and maybe I just didn't read or dig far enough. I don't know. Did you see anything about this?
The only thing I saw is what you just said, that Little League has come out and said, yeah, it wasn't, it's not a big deal. They were just having fun. The parents, the same thing. But yeah, the kid he looked dejected, like, why are they doing this? But I never got, I have not seen an explanation of why they would do that. I guess they were pulling cotton out of like stuffed animals or something like that.
Yeah.
And,
and maybe, and to me, I probably is innocent. I'm not saying, kids at that age, they didn't come to that on their own. If that was an overtly racist thing to do, they didn't come to that on their own. And there's not really, most of the team is white, but I don't know that you can jump to that conclusion just by what you see without knowing everything that's going on. But because of the optics of it, so then, now it's like, well, Iowa's got a shot. They're 3 games away from a chance at at playing for the championship. Can we allow that to happen if it's just a bunch of 12-year-old racists? And as silly as that sounds, that's what's coming up. I don't, if there's nothing to it.
Yeah, if there's nothing to it, it's like, then it's not a big deal. But yeah, like you said, the optics look really bad. And then you have, even if he was joking, the kid, oh, the fix is in, there's some kind of wacky weirdness going on with this Iowa Little League team. I think there's some, I don't know. There's maybe, and it's attitude. I don't know about the coaches. The coaches, though, when the kid said the fix is in, brushed it off. Was like, no, we're going to talk about that. But maybe he brushed it off like, why did you say that? You're not supposed to say that out
That's
loud.
Right.
And then maybe they weren't, maybe they've done this to this kid before. And they're like, oh, would you do this? Or you're on national TV. And, they're always looking in the stands to see what people, what the kids are doing. Because, I think was it last year? A couple of years, they were blowing bubbles.
Yeah.
And there was a certain way to do it, things like that, but not putting cotton on.
Maybe, if they, but yeah. And just because people are, because of the sensitivity of it, which I understand, but I just wonder, do these kids even really know what they were doing, what the significance was when we talk about race and cotton and all of that stuff, or, and then, but you could open up a whole can of worms and really go down a wormhole going through all the conspiracies. Did the parents say, no, nothing's wrong because they don't want to cause a scene, even though they know exactly that's what it was? Somebody out there has taken this, has gone the nuclear option on this and has made it the worst possible thing, because that's just what people do. Instead of just saying it was an innocent little thing. Honestly, I don't know. And nobody said enough for us to really have a clear picture. What I do know is, Rob Manfred, I want you to look at this Iowa team and realize what blacking out Iowa from Major League Baseball is doing. Conspiracy theorists, if you look in the dugout, they're all wearing aluminum foil hats when they're not. They say they're rally hats, but we really know what the aluminum foil hats are about. That's conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, these kids, they're playing baseball, but they can't watch baseball. They don't get, they're not seeing the nuances of the game when you're watching a game on TV or even going to a game.
I wonder if for some of them, this was the very first Major League game they've ever seen because of blackouts.
Yeah, I would say probably yes. That'd be like 99.9% sure. The other thing is, I thought was funny. The first thing I thought of when I was reading, that the Little League has expanded the teams to 20. I thought, oh, Little League is being Manfreded. Manfred has put his fingers into Little League.
I can't expand the major leagues, but I can get into the Little League World Series somehow.
Yes.
How about this, Rob Manfred? How about expand the minor leagues again? After you contracted there, how about and limited the amount of talent that you have? Anyway, next week when we get here, we will be talking about who won it all. Will it be one of the teams from the U.S.? Will it be an international team? So, yeah, on Sunday, you'll get to see a matchup between the international and the one of the U.S. teams in both the consolation game and the championship game. We'll see who moves on.
Yeah, Chinese Taipei, just as a little primer, Chinese Taipei holds the record with 17 titles. Japan is second with a total of 11. Japan has been dominating. 5 of those titles happened since 2010. And when it comes to the U.S., California holds the most titles with 7. So just a little primer as we get ready for the the championship games.
So do you have any, you want to take a guess from what you've seen? I've seen bits and pieces. Unfortunately, nobody's paying me to do this podcast full time yet. Hint, hint. Somebody out there, I hear people all the time have money and they'll give to some ridiculous charity.
We're charity.
Well, we could be a ridiculous charity.
SRBB charity.
Have you listened to this show? Sometimes I am absolutely ridiculous. What was it you called me earlier in the season? I can't remember the word now.
You were a bloviator.
Exactly. So I'm just full of hot air and ridiculous so often that I'm worthy of somebody taking care of, paying for us to do this podcast full time and do nothing else.
Yeah, that would be great. Just talk baseball all the time.
Would do it more often. Even if we were getting paid to do it, we could do it. We could do a daily podcast. We could do like multiple times a week. Oh man, I probably just messed it up now, huh? They're like, look, we're happy for you to do it once a week, but you talking about it all, I have to listen to you every day.
Every day.
Well, but it's not like having us on your radio. It would be like you could choose to listen or not. Just donate to our cause.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
we would love that.
Any picks? I haven't, like I said, I haven't got to watch as much of it as I.
So I don't know about international teams. I haven't had a chance to really see a lot of the games in the international bracket, but I'm gonna say if they continue playing the way they've been playing, I'm gonna go with Nolensville, Tennessee. Okay. I think they have a good shot at making it to the championship round. I did think it's interesting that the Caribbean team is represented by a team from Curacao. We talked about that last week and how, Jerickson Profar and like all of his siblings have all been to the Little League World Series. So
imagine if the Braves had been playing this year and Kinley had been there, because Kinley is from Curacao.
Oh yeah.
Just from looking at it, so you mentioned Japan. So Japan's been eliminated, so they don't have a chance at it. I would think that I don't know how good or bad Canada was either. I'm looking at Mexico has had some strong teams and has won in the past. Many years ago, I think like there's a movie about them getting their team over from Mexico to play in the Little League World Series. And I'm trying to remember the name of the movie. I'll look that up and we'll mention that by the end of the show. And then I would think, I liked what the Tennessee team did. I'm rooting for the West though, since I'm out here on the West. And last year, a team from Honolulu also made a deep run. I'm going to go with them to walk away with it, but maybe it'll be Tennessee-Hawaii matchup. Clash of two different worlds right there.
Yeah. I do want to mention before we wrap up talking about the Little League, the Utah player from Santa Clara, Utah, the first time Snow Canyon Little League, first time Utah has been represented at the Little League World Series. We want to send our best out to Easton Oliverson and his family. He was injured earlier in the week when he fell out of his the bunk bed. I guess he was on the top bunk bed and fell, hurt himself pretty bad, hit his head. He was rushed to the hospital. He was doing better, but over the weekend, he was in the hospital. He got up to go to the bathroom and fell again. So he is not out of the woods yet. And so he has a road to recovery, but we're rooting for him to get better, to get back on the field real soon.
Did he really just fall out of the bunk bed, though? Is this like a Major League Baseball excuse?
No,
No, I mean I make light of that, but yeah, it of all places for it to happen is while you're there, you've made it, and then you can't participate. What you would have wanted to have happen would have been like a movie scenario where he got bumped on the head, and all of a sudden he thinks he's Shohei Ohtani, and
Yeah.
he's or somebody like that.
Well, his favorite player is Mookie Betts, and so
So
maybe he could be
have been
Mookie.
Mookie, a leadoff
Yeah.
home run.
Yeah.
Stretching
And
out
really
the
cool.
catcher.
Mookie sent out a video to him,
Sweet.
so wishing him well. So
That's
yeah,
the one thing that I like is that for the major league players, for the most part, they seem to, with the little league players, they almost treat them as if they're like contemporaries,
Yeah.
like, hey, fellow players. And,
Mhm.
you're not just a fan trying to get an autograph. You're out there putting in the work and trying to be, live out your baseball dreams. And they really play to that, and they like that. So way to go, Mookie, and definitely hope that this kid is doing better very soon. Now, if ever there was a team that could adopt the overall spirit and feel of just having fun while competing and go to that, one of our episodes was called "Baseball is Fun." It's one where we talked to Kyle Wiggs of the Savannah Bananas. The Angels are that team. It's clearly the only guy that I ever see really having a good time every time I tune in is Luis Rengifo. And that's because he's being successful and he's hitting the ball and he's like, hey, I'm happy. I'm doing this. I'm contributing. He's the only one that I ever see doing with a lot of smiles. And I think a lot of it is that the season has just run them down. They've already lost like 70 games by now, 70 plus, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, they started out so well, and it's almost as though like they were in a race and they were the person that really didn't know, how to pace themselves, how to run. So they started out really, really fast, and now they're
winded.
They are winded. They're, stopping and putting their hands on their side, and like,
while everybody's passing them by.
Everyone's passing them by. People that were cheering have left. They're wearing bags on their heads.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah, literally.
I think really the trade that should have happened is Phil Nevin. I think he drains the life out of the Angels. He does. You see him in the dugout. He never looks happy. He has his, dream board, his vision board, and he's just the collapse. And then you have Joe Madden, who's like, the Angels are dead to me.
Yeah, a lot of people when that story came out that he said that was just like, I'm done with it. They're not taking into account. They're thinking, well, why? You were only the manager for really 2 years because 2020 was just a partial year, But it's like, you don't realize if you don't know what Joe Madden's history is, Joe Madden came up with the Angels.
Yeah.
I mentioned it many times. Joe Madden was the bench coach to Mike Scioscia on the 2002 team, but he had been with the overall like 30 some odd years with the Angels organization.
Yeah.
And then just got tossed out like,
yeah, they just kicked him to the curb.
Bread. Yeah.
And then they put Phil Nevin in there, who I think maybe has voodoo dolls of all the players except Luis Rengifo, because he figured it out or something and stole it, or I don't know. And he's in his office putting little pins in Ohtani's stomach so he doesn't feel good. And
right. And Mike Trout, the reason was his back thing was something that had come up before. And then he goes, no, he needs something in his side too. So he really was being a thorn in Mike Trout's side with his little voodoo doll.
Exactly. I would not want Phil Nevin near any team. I know it sounds really bad, but he just is just a fun sucker.
He has not sounded. Sometimes you get a different feel when you get a new manager in there, a different vibe. This is not the case. It's just gotten worse, and he's actually got a worse record than Madden had.
Yeah, I mean, it's went downhill, and and the sad thing is, like, Joe Madden, he knew, okay, I got to right the ship. What can I do? You could tell the guys were loose in the dugout when he was at the helm. He had gotten a mohawk, like,
that they
hey,
never saw,
and they never saw it, yeah. So there's lots of things. It's like they were so fast to fire Joe Madden when really this is a organizational, not the players, but this goes all the way up to the owner, and he needs to sell the team. Somebody needs to, like, forcefully take it over, a hostile takeover of an MLB team, something to get
I like
to right
that. That's good.
The ship.
All the fans should storm the castle, as it were.
Yeah.
And and instead of being out protesting some politician, go and protest Artie Moreno's house in Arizona. That's what should be happening. When you look at Madden versus Nevin, Joe Madden was 27-29. He was 2 games under 500, and that's with a 12-game losing streak. Could they have turned it around? Maybe. We don't know. I do know that their odds to make the playoffs, which had been maybe as high as maybe 10% at one time during the season, is now less than 1%. It's like 0.1. It's 0.1%. And I'm sure that to even win the World Series is like 0, period. You're done. You're toast. But Phil Nevin's 25-41. He's obviously, I didn't even realize they'd won 25 games since he's been.
Wow. How did that happen?
It's a miracle. So when we talk about teams that are going in different directions, this first series for the Angels really illustrates that, in that you have the Mariners, who are in the playoff hunt for a wild card spot. They're never going to get past the Asterisks. That's just a fact at this point, unless the Asterisks completely collapse and lose everything going down the stretch. They're going to be getting the bye with the Yankees when we get to the playoffs. But the Mariners are going to get in there and have a shot to break their streak, their drought of playoff appearances. Game 1 of the Mariners sweep of the Angels. Shohei on the mound, 6 innings through, gave up 7 hits, 2 runs, struck out 8. And he matched up against the Mariners' latest acquisition and the big pitcher on the trade market, Luis Castillo, was there, who he went 6 innings as well, gave up 6 hits and 2 runs, and struck out 9. Jesse Winker, J.P. Crawford, Adam Frazier leading Seattle offensively there. And Jared Walsh and David Fletcher joined Luis Rengifo in leading the offense to get those 2 runs. They got, actually, the biggest issue for the Angels in this game was not a poor showing by Shohei, the lack of runs definitely doesn't help. But they could have gone on to innings if it wasn't for Aaron Loop, who pitched 1 inning, gave up 2 hits, walked 3, struck out 1, and gave up 4 runs for the 6-2 loss. Next game didn't look much better. They only scored 2 runs. Once again, Luis Rengifo with a home run and powered in both of those home runs. Both of the RBIs were his. Shohei had a triple and was 3 for 4. Fletch, who has been pretty hot since he came back off the IL, was in place, but they couldn't stop Robbie Ray, who went 6 innings, just gave up those 2 runs. Julio Rodriguez, Ty France, Adam Frazier, all on putting runs on the board or contributing to those runs for the Mariners. It was another time where the starter, Jose Suarez, had a okay outing, not great. Went 5 1/3, gave up 3 runs on 4 hits, struck out 5. But really the problem was the most traded man in baseball, giving up
Jesse
5
Chavez.
runs.
Yeah, 5 runs, 4 hits, struck out 1, gave up a home run. Does not help your cause.
And in that game, they were 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. So that tells you a lot what's going on. That they're not hitting at the right times. They don't know. They'll get hits here and there, and you'll see some games they'll have 7, 8 hits, but never at the right time. This being one of them. Moving on to the last game of this particular set. Touki Toussaint on the mound only goes 2 2/3, gives up 3 hits, 4 runs, only strikes out 3. But once again, it is a member of the bullpen who really puts the hurt on his own team. And this time it is the nightmare, Mike Myers, who had made his triumphant return, but he's not pitched well the last couple of times. That's why I think that they should have some kind of a gimmick of him chasing a victim out of the actually, at this point, there ought to be somebody chasing him out of the bullpen with a knife. I'm sure any fan would be more than happy to chase after him.
As long as they could wear a bag on their head.
Right. Mike Myers gives up 5 runs, 3 of those being home runs. Jaime Barria gives up 2 runs as well over an inning pitch and a home run there. So Touki Toussaint didn't look so bad. Mike Myers pitches the bulk of the game, but is just
terrible.
Ridiculous. Yeah, he's just
well,
not.
And then you have Shohei, who was 4 for 5, 4 RBIs, hit a triple, had a home run, and then they still lose 11-7. Yeah.
That's the problem too, is that when they do have offense, they got to have better pitching.
Yeah, you can't come in and give up 5 runs and 3 home runs. I mean, that just sticks out.
Oh yeah, huge. Fletch and Rengifo once again leading the way with Shohei that game. Shohei, like you said, with a great game, and Andrew Velasquez kind of popped up out of nowhere with a 2 for 4 night. It was Jesse Winker, Eugenio Suarez, Cal Raleigh with 2 of those home runs, and J.P. Crawford, all in cahoots to give the Angels the business as they sweep the Angels and move on their trip towards the playoffs. The Angels collect up their things and leave. They do the walk of shame out of their own dugout, out of their own stadium, and find their way to Detroit.
Yeah, the Motor City. And this first game, I really thought, okay, let's turn it around.
Yeah, there was something really, and the thing that normally you would look at is as the game goes, as any Angels game goes, if the Angels are leading 1-0, you're in my head, I'm always like, hey, we need more runs.
Always insurance runs.
Who's going to screw this up? Because we need more, or else they're not going to make it through. They're not going to hold the lead. Well, that was not the case. Patrick Sandoval said, kind of like Pedro Serrano in Major League, when he finally said to Joe Boo, just don't worry about it. I'll do it myself, because he couldn't hit the curveball. Patrick Sandoval said to the bullpen, and you can use the expletive that Pedro used in the movie or not, but he said, forget you guys. I'll do it myself. And went all 9 for the complete game, shutout. It struck out 9, gave up 4 hits. Jared Walsh was the contributor of 1 run. He donated to the cause with a homer. Mike Trout back in the lineup. So maybe that was it. They were excited to see Trouty back in there, and he did get a hit in his return, but it was Jared Walsh who did that. So Patrick Sandoval, incredible outing.
Yeah, it was awesome. And that's, I thought Mike Trout's back, that changes dynamics. You have Patrick Sandoval. going, complete game, this could really be a good turning point for them to, get back on track. We know that they're not going to be in the playoffs. They're not there, but as we get closer to the end of the season, end it on a high note.
Yeah, go out strong like a former Angel is doing right now. We'll talk more about him when we get to around baseball. And they're in Detroit.
Yeah.
And Detroit's not a great team, so you have options to, and they're maybe in a little disarray. They just fired their general manager. I'm sure that Artie's probably ready to fire Manassian because, and I don't know if it's fully his fault. I think he's trying to, it's only a couple of seasons. It takes a little bit to build a team and to rebuild an organization that's in such disarray. Anyway, so there they are, and you're like, hey, Reed Detmers is on the hill for game 2 of the series, and he's overall looked pretty good. Well, that's where the Angels let you know, if you were thinking, you wouldn't have thought that. Because Reed Detmer comes out, only goes 4 1/3, gives up 10 hits and 4 runs on those 10 hits, only striking out 3. And Oprah was in Detroit, apparently, because they had like 4 or 5 players hit doubles. So she was handing out doubles in Detroit at Comerica Field.
Spreading the wealth of the doubles.
Yeah, and that's nice of her to do that. Not just the Dodgers, but Shohei 2 for 4. Rengifo, once again, 2 for 4 with an RBI, and Squid with a home run. But they still can't beat the Tigers. They go down 4 in that one. So it leads us to game 3 before the Angels. Will they be walking out with their head held high out of Comerica on their way to Tampa Bay? The best thing about this game was my rhyme, on their way to Tampa Bay. The Angels, they do get 7 hits, but they struck out 8 times. They were 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. So how many runs could they have gotten if they could have, realistically, if they'd have hit 500, they could have potentially got 4 runs in and wouldn't have lost 4-0. It would have been tied. Who knows what would have happened there. 2 double plays. They hit into 2 double plays, striking out 8 times. So Nevin would have rather had 10 strikeouts, 12 strikeouts than the 2 double play. Trout 2 for 3, Fletch 1 for 5. Squid went 2 for 4, and Shohei, who was on the bump, only threw 4 innings worth, gave up 3 runs and over 5 hits. And an odd day, Luis Rengifo was hitless.
Yeah, that never happens. And Shohei only had 2 strikeouts. But then we learned later that he wasn't feeling well and didn't say anything.
No, because that's the problem with this team, is that the guys who are doing probably don't feel like we can take a day off because we want to have a good showing.
Yeah.
Shohei's not like at the end of a contract where he wants to be out there pitching all the time so he can build up his numbers and showcase every time he goes out there for other teams. If you're not feeling good, go lay down. Tell Phil, I'm done. I can't pitch today. And,
yeah.
I know he wants to be out there and competing. He doesn't want to let the team down. And that's the problem. When you're having to carry a team as much as he's had to, especially over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, you feel like, I got to get in there. I can't call out sick because I gotta be there. I got stuff to do. And
exactly.
Unfortunately, you could see it because that's not Shohei Ohtani. So obviously there was something wrong, which we know there was. He was sick.
Obviously. Mm-hmm. All right, so the Angels continue on the road. They've got Tampa Bay for 4 in Tampa or St. Pete, wherever in that. It's sad when the stadium in Williamsport, the Little League Stadium alone, is better than the Major League Stadium you play in. And that's what the Rays are going through right now. So they've got 4 there before they head north of the border to take on the surging Blue Jays, who have just been causing issues, beating up on the Yankees, who are obviously having their problems. They've got 3 up there, and for a team like the Angels, this is not a team you want to see when you're, barely dragging yourself out onto the field from game to game. Hopefully the Angels will feel like motivated. Let's not let this team, let's show them that we're better than we've been playing. And it's not going to get easier for them as it goes on, because after that, they're going to come home, and the Yanks and then the Asterix are coming, the 2 best teams in the American League. So right now they're going to play 3 in a row of the best teams overall in the AL East. And then they got to take on the Asterix.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we get to go home. Oh.
Yeah, no, you might as well not even. You guys should just be a team without a home right now, because the Angel fans are upset to the point that they don't want to come see you. This is the time to go. If you wanted to go to a ball game cheaply, now's the time to go, because people are selling their tickets on StubHub cheap to go see. The only thing that keeps the tickets higher is Shohei, and maybe the fact that Trout's back. But until Trout is, seeming more like he was before he went out, and dominating, there's not a lot of reasons to go see him. I am going to go see them, and unfortunately I have to see them play the Asterix again. But the cool part is I'll be going to see them on Cowboy Hat Night.
All right. Woohoo!
Maybe we'll have to have a Angels cowboy hat giveaway.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't see that I need 2 of those here in the house.
I'm a cowboy, baby.
All right.
That just popped in my head. Anyway.
All right. The best part of the segment was right there. Okay.
Do you have a player of the week?
I do. I was just going to ask you the same thing.
All right. Well, you go first.
I'm going to go with Patrick Sandoval. That was probably the most dominant showing. I mean, Shohei had a great day at the bat, but overall, Patrick Sandoval put the team on his shoulders, especially after the way they got beat up by Seattle, and provided the only silver lining really for the whole week, because even the good offensive days, even Mike Trout coming back and having a couple of games where he had decent showing, nobody was a silver lining like Patrick Sandoval was this week. And what I kind of hope for Patrick Sandoval is that maybe in the offseason he gets traded to a contender, because he's been huge.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I wish I would have. I should have totally done that. That's like glaring in the box score. But I actually went with the Squid. I went with Andrew Velasquez. He only had 1 game where he was hitless. He was 0 for 3. But the rest of the games, he was 2 for 4, 1 for 3, 2 for 4 in the games that he played. Had a double, had a home run, had some RBIs. So, I just figured can't be Luis Rengifo every week.
Or David Fletcher at this point.
Or
Those
David
seem to
Fletcher.
be the 2.
Yes. Yeah.
Before we bail out of the Angel segment today, we've been turning to silver linings. You hear us mention it throughout. Big news, potentially, coming out. This is like breaking news. This was just released by the Angels, and I'm going to read it verbatim so that you get the full gist of it. Today, Angels Baseball announced that the organization has initiated a formal process to evaluate strategic alternatives, including a possible sale of the team. Owner Artie Moreno stated, "It has been a great honor and privilege to own the Angels for 20 seasons. As an organization, we have moved to provide our fans an affordable and family-friendly ballpark experience while fielding competitive lineups, which included some of the game's all-time greatest players. Although this difficult decision was entirely our choice and deserved a great deal of thoughtful consideration, my family and I have ultimately come to the conclusion that now is the time. Throughout the process, we will continue to run the franchise in the best interests of our fans, employees, players, and business partners. Now, honestly, when I read that last part, throughout this process, we'll continue to run the franchise. And in my head, I said, into the ground. But maybe not. I don't know. This seems like a silver lining. Now, it is possible. They might explore everything, and Artie might decide, nah, never mind. I'm going to keep it. Just kidding.
Yeah, I hope not. I think it was the people coming to the stadium with bags on their heads maybe pushed him over. Although I did, like I said, this is breaking, but there have been rumors that he has been planning to sell for a while, but he hasn't said anything, and he wanted to be private about it, I guess. And now today was the day, so.
Indeed. So this is something that we're going to just have to keep watch on and see what happens. You know, some people will be like, well, when we won the World Series, we were this. And Artie's post-World Series, that he didn't own the team. He did. Disney owned the team. But if you remember, that team wasn't anything special as far as like a lot of stars on the team. We had some veterans, but nobody on the team had ever been to a World Series before. And the Autries owned them before that. It wasn't as if, you know, we had some great ownership. Disney was fine, but they didn't spend a lot of money. They spent more money changing the uniforms to that stupid Angels in the outfield look that, you know, so anyway.
Yeah, I wonder if the stadium deal that fell through and, you know, that development deal, if maybe that was the last straw for him, you know, to really say, I'm done. This is over, which we would say, hooray!
Huzzah! Yeah,
Right.
and you know, you're probably right, because he was going to basically get that land, this parking lot, the stadium, and everything cheap, and then develop it, and then of course that would be tax revenue, so there would be money coming back to the city. But of course, they had investigations, a mayor and a couple of higher ups all resigned over the goings on with that and the dealings. So there's probably something to be said about that as well. And he's just not as good of a guy as he seems as he can be. He's not a baseball owner, and he's too worried about trying to make some big signing, even if it doesn't make sense. Like Josh Hamilton, Anthony Rendon, another one that he only signed him because Garrett Cole, and I'm gonna get somebody. I'm gonna spend some money. It's not like he hasn't spent money. It's just he hasn't spent it wisely. So stay tuned to see how bright this silver lining gets.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
Over the last couple of seasons, I've become kind of fond of using literary references for things, you know, with like Dansby Swanson and those kind of names. I was just thinking, as we were getting ready to start the Dodger segment, coming out of the silver lining segment, because we're not calling it the Angel segment anymore. It's the silver lining segment. That both teams are called Los Angeles Dodgers, Angels. And really, we have a tale of two cities going on there. And for one, it is the best of times. And the other, it is the worst of times. And The Dodgers are obviously having the best of times. They've got this last week was an M&M week for them. They had Milwaukee and Miami in Milwaukee, and really the biggest story out of Milwaukee really had nothing to do with play on the field. We'll get to that in a little bit. But for right now, let's take a look at what happened when the Dodgers took on the Brewers there at America First Field in Milwaukee.
Milwaukee has always been a tough team, I think, for the Dodgers. They have good series against each other. Chris Taylor makes awesome catches, very reminiscent of playoff catches that he's made in that park. But in game one, you had Julio Urias on the mound, 5 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. And then the bullpen came in with Chris Martin, Caleb Ferguson, who's looked really good. He's, has had Tommy John surgery. He's, back. And then Evan Phillips, David Price, all closing it up. And the Dodgers win that game 4-0. Great start for the Dodgers.
And then, it started something very important. It started a streak. And I'll tell you what that streak was in a minute.
Okay. And then you had Freddie Freeman with a home run, Max Muncy with the double, and Gavin Lux back in his home state of Wisconsin. He's from Kenosha. I hear him talk, and I really want him to have that Wisconsin accent.
Is that what the look on his face is all the time?
Maybe.
Because even as good as he's playing, he always has a look on his face like, what? Where am I? He looks kind of like you would expect Cody to sound like when Cody's got, those squinty eyes.
Yeah.
Going.
But yeah, so he is back, and he obviously he's leaving tickets at the will call for all his family and friends from Kenosha.
Now, did they actually come, or was it like a Ricky Bobby thing where he always left the tickets, but Dad never showed up?
No, you could hear him. You could hear him when he came up.
Okay, hey, way to go, Gavin. That's wonderful, boy. All right.
So good game. So Dodgers come into Milwaukee, first game, great. Second game, all I have to say, Zennings. That's it.
So we're talking game 3 now, right? Because Zennings, it's almost, but they've had some success recently with Zennings.
Yeah, but not in this game.
No.
Not in this game. Ryan Pepio is on the mound. He goes 4 2/3 innings, gives up 3 hits, 3 runs, walks 5, strikes out 6, but gives up 2 home runs, has had moments, and he's still new, he's still filling it out.
He's still a rookie.
But the bullpen comes in, Reyes Maranta, David Price, Evan Phillips, Phil Bickford, Alex Vesia, they all come in and they hold it until Craig Kimbrell, who blows the save. It's his 4th blown save and gets the loss. He gives up 2 hits, 2 runs, 1
and rightly
earned.
so.
Yeah.
Nobody before him should get the loss. Pepio maybe because he had given up some of those runs, but at that point that he comes in, they still had a chance to win, and he should get the L for sure.
Yeah, he deserves the L.
Now, there's something about this particular series that stood out to me. And the first part of it was Brandon Woodruff, who is one of the top line pitchers for the Brewers, gave the Dodgers issues.
Yes.
He only threw 5 innings, gave up 5 hits and 2 runs. He could thank Christian Yelich and Willie Adames for hitting home runs to help support his cause. But he doesn't get the win in it. But he's a tougher pitcher. And this is a team that right now battling back and forth with the Cardinals. And the Cardinals are on a major streak right now, but they're not so far apart that the Brewers can't turn it back on and get into it. That's the only way they're making. If they don't win the Central, they're not going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because there's 3 teams coming out of the AL East as it sits right now, and then the Dodgers and the Padres. So there'll be 1 team out of the Central, and it's whoever's the top. And I'm worried about them based on how the Dodgers performed against 2 of their top pitchers.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. The Brewers and the Dodgers have played many playoff games, and it's always like nail biters.
I got to go to one.
Yeah.
A couple seasons
That's
back.
right.
Yeah.
And so they play, they're competitive when the Dodgers are playing the Brewers. The Brewers, it's like something happens. And it's funny that Christian Yelich, you got a home run, and then he had tweeted out, it's been 84 years, from Titanic, because it's been so long. And it's interesting that you have, you had the Belly Yelly race going on in 2019, and Cody Bellinger, won, but Yelich is the same. He's still, it's odd that those 2 guys have had similar issues, injuries, problems at the plate, things like that. So with this game, like I said, all I had to say is innings, it went 11, and the Dodgers end up losing 5-4, but you had 3 home runs, Mookie Betts, Joey Gallo, and Chris Taylor. Freeman hopped in there with a double. Everybody had a hit in this game except for Smith, Will Smith, Max Muncy, and then Gavin Lux. And Gavin struck out 4 times in this game.
So maybe his family and friends weren't there for that
I don't
game.
think they were there that night. I don't think
Gavin,
so.
we disown you, boy. That's the wrong accent.
Yeah,
I don't know where that came from.
I don't know either. But the next night, the Dodgers had something to play for. They had someone to play for. And that would be David Bassett.
Yes, dedicated to DV. Tony Gonsolin on the mound. Even Craig Kimbrell involved in this game. But let's go to why they were playing for Bassett.
So you know that there is a slide that Bernie the Brewer goes down. Usually when there's a home run, something exciting, he goes down this slide. It looks like a water slide, like at that's what it looks like to me, like it would be at a water park. And David Bassett has always wanted to go down this slide. Like, he's super excited. He's telling everybody. So he goes down the first time and is okay. And that's probably what he should have done. He said, one and done. I did it. That's it. Oh, no. He had to roll the dice, goes down a second time, crashes into a padded wall that obviously wasn't as padded as it should be, and breaks his wrist, fractures his wrist, and he's going to have surgery on his wrist because he broke like 2 bones, and fractures like 6 ribs.
Yeah, the way that he slid and went to the side, I was like, how is it that happened like that is he that fragile? And even when he slid down, he kind of hit differently. And I think he even said, they told me to do it this way. And on the last one, he got a little crazy with it.
Yeah.
And, but it still didn't seem like he should have, it should have been that big of a deal. I don't know.
Right. I know. When you say to me, like, you hit the wall and you think, okay, that, you kind of feel like, like you get the wind knocked out of you, but then you get up. But the whole way down, he was going, oh, crap, oh, crap, oh, crap. And now there is I don't know if it's still there. I would hope that the Brewers were really good sports. they had caution tape across the wall. They had an outline of a person, and "oh crap" was written on the
And
on
then
the
they
wall.
put flowers on there like a memorial kind of thing. Like,
Yes.
Yeah, it was, they made fun of it. Even David Vassay, who went to the hospital and was out there for the game that night reporting.
Yeah, on the
So he was a
field.
trooper. But
And then the next day in the next game, he I know, I think it was Bernie the Brewer. They had him out on the field, gave him some more flowers, and then gave him an instruction manual for the slide.
Right.
And when he opened it, it said it's really not that hard. But on the day of the slide, all the Dodgers were there rooting for him to feel better. Justin Turner, Cody Bellinger, Mookie Betts even like FaceTimed him when he was at the hospital, make sure he was okay. And he was out on the field. And because of that, the Dodgers pulled together after their innings lost and beat the Brewers 2-1. And as you mentioned, a lot of it has to do with the man on the mound, and that is the Cat Man, Tony Gonsolin, who went 7 innings, gave up 2 hits, no runs, had 8 strikeouts. And then Caleb Ferguson came in. He did give up a 1 run, but the Dodgers were able to hold on because Craig Kimbrell, can you believe it, got his 21st save, not a blown save, but the 21st save. He comes in, gives up 1 hit, but does not give up any runs. And the Dodgers go on to win it 2-1. And the guys that really helped, you normally look at the top of the lineup. This time it was Max Muncy with the home run, Austin Barnes, Cuz with the home run. He was 2 for 3. And he even at the end of the interview, when they interviewed David Vassay, interviewed Austin Barnes and he said, "This one was for you. We did it for you." So maybe we need in these kind of moments, especially after a innings loss, just have a slide.
So
that goes wherever.
Vassay got his part. Now, what's her name? Erica, who does
Kristen?
No, Kristen. Erica's with the Angels.
Angels, yeah.
Yeah, Kristen. So Kristen Watson needs to do something that might cause her injury. I mean, we don't want her to get injured necessarily, but something in fun and something minor.
Right.
Maybe she gets a little bruise on her arm or something like that. And then the Dodgers will play for that. Maybe we need that closer to playoff times or during the playoffs.
Yeah, because the next game,
they did that because the all the Dodgers want to go down that slide too.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think everybody does.
I want to go down that slide.
Yeah, he went. I guess you go down. Now, Bernie the Brewer, I haven't seen him go down on burlap, is what it looked like. And I don't know if you normally do that or if it was because he was in a, like dress pants,
right. Maybe it was because of how he was dressed. Maybe with Bernie, the outfit that, the costume that they wear for that.
Yeah, he doesn't need it. But
so we get to, that was game 3, game 4. And here's where we go back and talk about what I brought up earlier with Brandon Woodruff. Corbin Burns is on the mound for Milwaukee. And while we threw Andrew Haney got a lot of talk off on Twitter. It's like, oh, the real Andrew Haney has shown up.
Maybe, but he did get 10 strikeouts.
That's, to me, that overshadows that he only went 4 2/3.
Yeah.
It's 10 strikeouts in just a little over 4 innings.
Yeah, he gave up 5 hits, 5 runs. 3 of those were earned. But the problem is he gave up 3 home runs. And he was back to, thinking about the Angels. It's like, oh, You're like, you're not in the right uniform. You need to get out of that mindset. You don't give up 3 home runs. But he did feed Los Angeles and the greater area, surrounding area of jumbo jacks, which hasn't happened in a while.
That's the streak I was talking about. All 4 games had 10 or more strikeouts. Andrew did it all by himself. Anything over 10 is just gravy. You don't get anything extra. It's not like they throw in fries for 15. So that started a streak, a 4-game jumbo jack streak. Thanks to
and that is the streak we want, right? Well,
right.
You guys want. I can't get it,
but it's nice if you're
but
getting more than 10 or more strikeouts.
But I mean, he didn't. Other than he giving up the 5 runs, he had the 10 strikeouts. But then you had the bullpen came in and Reyes Maranta, David Price, Phil Bickford, and Alex Vesia. No runs, no hits. I think Bickford gave up 1 hit, but that was so the bullpen has been really good, but the offensively. Max Muncy was 0 for 3. JT was 0 for 3. Joey Gallo was 0 for 3. Chris Taylor 0 for 3. Cody Bellinger was 0 for 4. Struck out 3 times. And it was only Gavin Lux 2 for 4. He had 2 RBIs. He had a triple in that game. And then Will Smith with an RBI. And that's it. And then Freddie Freeman 1 for 4, Trey Turner 2 for 4. No Mookie Betts. He had the day off.
Yeah, Trey hit leadoff for him in there. Corbin Burns, like I said, went 5 2/3, just gave up 6 hits and 3 runs. So he gave up all of the runs the Dodgers scored. But really, they had to contend with Andrew McCutchen having a big day, 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 home runs.
Yes.
And then Hunter Renfroe. 3 for 3 with a home run, and that kind of sealed their fate in Milwaukee. So they walk away with a split with the Brewers, and they head home to take on the Dolphins. I mean the Marlins.
The Marlins, yeah.
Yeah, they take on the Marlins
in the ravine
with the jumbo jack streak on the line. They send Tyler Anderson to the hill.
Yeah, he goes, pitches 7 innings, gives up 5 hits, only 1 run, 3 walks, but only 6 strikeouts. So almost there, but Chris Martin doesn't have any strike. He had 1 strikeout, and then Evan Phillips comes in, and no strikeouts for Evan Phillips. But
so the streak is over, and another issue that I didn't put together till after I went back and looked at everything, but they faced Jesus Luzardo that game, who is another decent pitcher, one of the top 2, or definitely top 2 for, he's number 2 behind Alcantara. I got to say it right, because I keep hearing everybody say it. I was always like Alcantara, but it's Alcantara or something like that. I'll figure it out when we get.
I call him Sandy. I just call him by his first name.
Sandy. Anyway, he's number 2 to him, but he goes for 6 1/3, gives up 4 hits and 1 run, strikes out 7. It's not until their old pal Dylan Floro shows up that they were able to do something. I was happy to see Luzardo leave that game.
Oh, I know. He was lights out. I mean, you look at Chris Taylor, he couldn't figure him out. He struck out 3 times. Trey Turner had a strikeout. Freddie Freeman struck out. JT, I think Trace Thompson, Hanser Alberto, they all, they just couldn't get anything going when he was on the mound. And so I was like, come on, he needs to leave.
Well,
come on, Don.
Trace was 1 for 3.
Yeah.
And with an RBI. Mookie was 3 for 4, so he was the only one that could figure out what to do with Luzardo.
Yeah, he is the only one, because this is an anomaly where you have Trey Turner, Freddie Freeman go 0 for 3 in a game. And then, they did have, both had a walk, so they did get on base, but, didn't have a hit.
So bottom line is, though, it was a down night, but they still picked up the victory 2-1, which set up for the triumphant return of two things. Most importantly being Dustin May.
I thought you were going to say Jumbo Jacks.
I didn't want to downplay Dustin May, but
No.
yes, Jumbo Jacks.
Yes, it was Code Red back in the ravine. Dustin May coming back from Tommy John surgery. He goes 5 innings, so we know he's not going to, I think his pitch limit was probably 75, I think is what I heard. He pitches 5 innings, gives up 1 hit, no runs, 2 walks, but strikes out 9. Looked really good.
With the exception of a moment early in the game where he loaded the bases. And at that point, you're like, because he started off looking okay, but then the bases are loaded and you're like, what's going to happen here? And he got out of it. And honestly, by the time after a couple innings, you almost forgot that he'd been gone.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a rough that first inning. His pitch count, he made. I don't know that they would have let him go longer, maybe 6 innings, but that first inning was rough, and then he settled down. But like you said, he was able to get out of the jam, and a lot of emotion for him. So it was really good to see Dustin May back on the mound in Dodger blue.
He picks up his first win in his first start, and they kept saying it on the broadcast in like 468 days, I think it was. Yeah. Something to that effect. And so well over 460 days. And he gets that. Caleb Ferguson, who a fellow Tommy Johner, comes in, pitched real well while he was in. And so like you said, they walk away with a 7-0 victory.
And look at Phil Bickford, 3 strikeouts. He pitched 2 innings, but he had 3 strikeouts there. And right at the end, it was boom, boom, boom out of the inning, and Dodgers win 7-0.
And if you've ever heard Mark Morrison's song "Return of the Mac," that night it was "Return of the Jack," as in Jumbo Jack. They definitely hit 10 plus. Dustin doing 9 by himself. And so Jumbo Jacks return with the big victory. Trey and Freddie both with a couple of hits. Will with a home run, and JT with a home run, both of the 3-run variety.
Yes.
So. And that brings us to Game 3, the Sunday game, and this is where Sandy Alcantara is on the mound. And I know that during the Saturday night game, Tim Neverett, who was in for Joe, said, I think I speak for Oro when you say kind of excited to see Alcantara pitch. And then he said, okay, maybe not from that standpoint, that because he's a Cy Young candidate, number 1 candidate right now. Maybe not that. I mean, he kind of walked it back a little bit, but I got what he was saying. This is a guy who's just having a great season. He's a top line pitcher. You like to see those guys, whether they're on your team or not.
Yeah, all-star.
You do hope that your team gives something. And it turns out the last time that Sandy was there, he had a pretty bad outing, gave up a lot of runs. And it was like, okay, is he going to turn it around this time? Well, by the time I went to lunch on Sunday, Sandy was not in the game anymore.
Yeah, who knew that rookie Ryan Pepio would pitch more innings that day than Sandy, who only pitched 3 2/3 innings, gave up 10 hits, 6 runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, and gave up a home run. And the Dodgers win 10-3. Like I said, Ryan Pepio is on the mound, and he pitched 6 innings, gives up 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, had 7 strikeouts, and gave up a home run. And some people think, and this is, we had the bullpen come in, obviously not a safe situation for Craig Kimbrell, but it was like International Women's Day on Sunday, and the Dodgers were celebrating that at the stadium. So for the walk-up songs or walk-out songs for the pitchers, their wives or significant others chose their songs. And Craig Kimbrell's wife chose Let It Go, from the Frozen soundtrack. And the Dodger, and I think he should change it to that, because Dodger Stadium, like the people at the stadium were singing along, and he goes 1 inning, doesn't give up a hit, doesn't give up a run. He didn't have any strikeouts, but he doesn't do any damage. He let it go.
Now, did she mean it in the sense of let it go, all the stuff that's on your head that's causing you to not be the closer you've always been? Or did she mean like let it go, let it rip, fire away?
It could be both, maybe. I don't know. But yeah. I'm thinking everybody in the lineup had a hit. Mookie Betts was 2 for 5. Trey Turner was 1 for 3. Freddie Freeman was 3 for 5, and his wife chose the Shania Twain classic, Man, I Feel Like a Woman, for his walk-up song. And then you had Will Smith, who was 3 for 5, and Chelsea Freeman and Will Smith's wife, I don't remember, can't think of what her first name is. They must have gotten together because they chose, or they didn't know, but they chose the same song. And they both go 3 for 5 and both of them had doubles in the game. And then Max Muncy, he's 2 for 4 and he hits a home run, and his wife chose the song Lip Gloss, which I've heard it before, but it's like, you got your lip gloss on and you're getting ready, I guess, to go out. And so that was, and then Joe Davis was singing along with that one. JT was 1 for 4. He had Wrecking Ball. Courtney picked Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus for him. And then Gavin was 1 for 4. I don't remember what his was. I think DJ Severe picked. But the interesting one is that Hanser Alberto picked Joey Gallo's walkout song. And he picked, let's see here. He picked Conga by Gloria Estefan. And then
Miami Sound Machine.
Yeah. And then Joey Gallo picked for Hanser Alberto. So the bromance is alive and well in the dugout, in the clubhouse between Gallo and Alberto. And then Cody Bellinger had a home run, 2-run home run. He was 1 for 4. And let's see what his walk-up song, his significant other, Chase Carter, she picked My Humps by Black Eyed Peas. So after the game, they asked Dave Roberts about it, and he was not aware of the whole, what this was. Like, he knew, okay, yeah, International Women's Day, but then when Mookie Betts walks out, and he had like big energy. I think his wife was like, okay, big energy remix. He didn't quite have, like Trey Turner, his wife picked Love Story by Taylor Swift to walk out to. So he's listening to this, like, what is going on? Then he found out the story, and that the wives, the partners picked the songs, and he's like, we might have to keep these songs. Like throughout
this is really but then the novelty wears off, and
it does, and yeah,
and at least it wasn't a whole game of Nickelback.
Right. That is true. The best part, I think, though, for everyone is just the Joey Gallo, Hanser Alberto
thing.
bromance.
That's hilarious.
And then they had, I think her name was Maybelle Blair, who was part of was one of an inspiration for League of Their Own. She's 95 years old. She throws out the first pitch to Justin Turner, and he's talking to her, and he's kind of close, and she's stroking his beard while she's talking to him. So fun day, fun game for the Dodgers, obviously in a 10-3 win. And so they split the series with Milwaukee, sweep the Marlins, and they will have Milwaukee for 4 when they are actually.
It's a rewind.
It is a rewind. So they're going to have Milwaukee at home, and then they head to Miami to start a road trip to play the Marlins for 4 games, and then they head up to New York to play the Mets.
The other top team in the NL.
Yeah. A couple of notes for the Dodgers. Reyes Maranta was DFA'd to make room for Dustin May, but he has quickly been picked up by the Diamondbacks. But I will miss Reyes Maranta. He was getting better. He wasn't just giving up home runs when he came out to pitch, but he has found a home with the Diamondbacks. And Max Muncy and the Dodgers have agreed to a 1-year contract extension, and that is it's like $13.5 million for the year. So,
all right. So, player of the week, who you got?
So I went through and I was like crunching the numbers, and I ended up going with Freddie Freeman.
Not a bad pick. He had a good week. He's been pretty solid. He's like, him and Trey constantly, you see their names popping up all the time. I went completely in a different direction as I did with the Angels. I gave it to Dustin May this week, who came off of quite an outing after not pitching at that level for so long. He really looked good, and provided he can keep that up, he's going to be a solid addition to the Dodgers starting rotation, especially not knowing, how long it is. I know Kirsch is in the mix and he's now thrown off the mound in that, but I believe that having him is going to be good for the Dodgers as we head to the playoffs. Now we just need to get some of these other guys, especially out of the pen, off of the IL and back in action. One guy, out of all those guys we said were coming off of the IL, one guy won't be off anytime soon. If you remember last week, we talked about Walker Buehler, and we know he had some issues. There was a lot of talk. Hopefully he could come back in September. Okay, then we find out he's got an elbow issue that they're going to go in and do some basically year-ending surgery. But they weren't sure exactly because MRIs, I think, and you could confirm this for me, MRIs were a little cloudy because of past scar tissues and that from his Tommy John surgery he had before.
Right. Yeah, so they didn't know until they did the surgery really what they were going to find, and it wasn't good.
No, Dr. What is that? Al Trachet got in there and ended up doing reconstructive UCL surgery, aka Tommy John surgery. And I think I saw a tweet that Walker put out that said something to the effect of, "Be seeing you.
Yeah.
Don't know when I'll see you again, but be seeing you."
Yeah, this
12
is
to 18 months.
Yeah, because the second time you have it, it's a longer recovery time. And the Dodgers have been really careful with their pitchers who have had Tommy John surgery. We saw Caleb Ferguson had Tommy John surgery, and he wanted to get out and be able to throw. And they're like, no, there is a protocol, there's a schedule, and we do not deviate from this schedule. So for Walker Buehler, yeah, it's going to be see you when I see you.
And I would say you're probably going to look at more like 2024 4. I would
Yeah.
think, and late in the season.
Yes.
It'll be
Yeah.
similar to like Dustin May, as far as like you're going to miss one full season and a half probably, provided everything is goes smoothly and that hopefully. I know some people were like, "Oh no, that's it, he's done." But it's like there are other pitchers who've had 2. And Tommy John surgery is not like pioneering this new wave of things like it is now. Now it's like going to get your, appendix out or something like that. It's pretty routine for the doctors who do it.
Yeah, exactly. And he had already had elbow surgery because he had a bone spur in his right elbow. And so he was supposed to be back in 10 to 12 weeks, but then he started having soreness in just by playing catch in that elbow. And that's what led to the MRI, which led to the surgery, which led to Tommy John because of all the scar tissue. So yeah, it's going to be a while. This isn't what we wanted to see. However, they've been doing it without him for most of the season.
Now you sound like Manny Machado talking about Fernando Tatis Jr.
Exactly. I thought
We've
of
been doing
that.
it without him.
Yeah,
but it's true.
Yeah, I hate to see this, but in addition to having his UCL replaced, he also had his flexor tendon repaired. So he should come back and he should be bionic pitcher.
I like it. That's what I was thinking when you said that, bionic.
Yeah. So a safe, healthy recovery for Walker. We're going to miss him because we'll probably see him in the dugout, but yeah, not what Dodger fans want to see, but it's not over. It's not over for Walker. He's got more butane in the tank.
Now, it did lead me to one question. Do you think Andrew Friedman right about now is regretting not trying to pick up or not picking up even a middle of the pack starter?
Yeah, I think so, because you can't go off of, it's going to be 10 to 12 weeks. I mean, look at Blake Trinan. He's been out for, I don't even know how long. It seems like forever. And he's just now should be coming back. With Walker Buehler, it was going to be 10 to 12 weeks. Okay, that puts you like, he's going to be back for the postseason, but you can't rely on that. So it would have been, and it surprised both of us that they didn't get a pitcher because you just don't know.
Right.
And not, I love Clayton Kershaw, but there's that possibility too. I mean, he's on the IL. It looks like he'll be coming back here pretty soon, but he got the back issues. And then you also have Andrew Heaney, who has had shoulder issues. So if you had somebody that you could just slot in and not have to play in this bullpen game, which we have seen in the postseason in the past.
And unfortunately, Dustin May, as good as he looked, he's still on his way back. And even if he continues to look good, he's only pitching 1 day a week.
Yeah.
Now, you do have Tyler Anderson, who overall has been good. Tony Gonsolin, those two guys have been really good. Julio's definitely picked it up.
Yeah.
And then you add in Dustin May. So it's not like you have bad rotation. If Clayton can stay healthy the rest of the season, you've got 5 good pitchers right there, and it's a lot better than you would think. However, I really believe that they needed another starter, or they needed a couple of guys in the bullpen that you could slot in as starters because they're longer relievers. They're stretched out a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. So we will see how it all unfolds, but
will not trading or do very few trades. Will trading Mitch White away at the trade deadline, will that come back to bite him?
That's a good question. And he's pitched for the Blue Jays because they've had some injuries, some pitchers on the 15-day IL, and he hasn't looked bad. He's actually, where he was going 6-7 innings with one, giving up one hit. He just did that recently. So, yeah, that would be one to watch too.
Yep. Now we don't have to worry about whether Walker's coming back or not. We know that one is off the table. How will the rest of the pitching staff go? Luckily for the Dodgers right now, they have some time and comfort, a comfortable, cushion between them and the Padres and any other team that would threaten them to figure it all out as far as how their pitching is going to work. The dugout card is all charged up and ready for a roll around baseball. Before we get to the MLB players of the week, couple things. Next year in the Little League Classic, Phillies and the Nationals will be playing. And then the movie that I mentioned about the team from Mexico that was the first non-U.S. team to win the Little League World Series back in 1957 is called The Perfect Game. Finally, I remembered there's a payoff. I promised. Now you got it. There it is. A couple things that I was looking at. We're going to start seeing as the minor league season comes to an end, because it always ends earlier. You're going to start seeing some players called up. Maybe not necessarily to all of the teams, because the rosters don't expand like they used to finish out the season. So you're going to see on some teams we're going to start giving some youngsters a chance. And then one of the things that I noticed as I was looking through was the disco turkeys. Our friends down there in Carolina, they had a overall pretty successful second season in existence. They had a better record overall, played a lot tougher competition than they did last year. And the team, they, when they looked at it, they were like, hey, we look pretty good. We can't complain about what happened. Greg Sullivan, who is the president of and was on our first episode of the season this year, talking about the Disco Turkeys baseball, he was very happy with the effort, how people did. They did go and play in the tournament. What is that? The All-American Amateur Baseball Association National Tournament up in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. They didn't fare very well, but they did lose to two of the top teams, including the eventual champion New Orleans team. So cool for them. We wish them luck in their next season, and hopefully we'll be able to get Greg on maybe towards the end of the year to talk about what happened with the Disco Turkeys and their season. So let's take a look now at the players of the week, including one guy we would have had to talk about, except now we're gonna, because he's a player of the week, not just because
we want to.
Right.
Yeah. So players of the week this week, we actually have 3, but we'll start with the American League, and that is Johnny Cueto, starting pitcher for the White Sox. He allowed only one earned run over his 2 starts last week. He had an MLB best 16 2/3 innings. That earned a run came during a victory over the Astros when he threw 8 innings, and he topped himself 5 days later against the Guardians when he was 1 out shy of a complete game shutout. And since making his season debut on May 6th, he's pitched to a 2.58 ERA, and he's had 10 consecutive quality starts. So he is been a good pickup for the White Sox as they are trying to stay in the contention for the wild card race in the AL. And then in the National League, there's teammates who are players of the week, and that is Paul Goldschmidt and Albert Pujols, who combined for 6 home runs over the week. Goldschmidt has been doing, I think he's going to continue, will probably be the player of the year in the NL. But he led all major leaguers in batting average last week, 542, slugging 1.042, and an OPS of 1.613. He picked up 3 hits in 3 consecutive games. He drove in 8 runs, had home runs in back-to-back games against his former team, the Diamondbacks, and he helped the Cardinals extend their win streak to 7 games. This is the 3rd time this year that Paul Goldschmidt has been recognized as the NL Player of the Week. No one else has accomplished this more than twice. And his teammate, who we love to talk about anyway, Albert Pujols, he became the first player in Major League Baseball history to record 4 hits and 2 home runs in a single contest at age 42. He is a 3-time MVP, and this is his 13th career Player of the Week award, and his first since August of 2012.
He has turned it on.
Yes.
He has got 700 in his sights, it looks like. And as of recording, he needs 7 more.
Yes,
He hit another
everyone
one
is
in
rooting.
Chicago. And which makes him, I'm trying to remember who he surpassed. Mike Schmidt. He surpassed Mike Schmidt as hitting the most home runs in Wrigley Field. And he's tied Barry Bonds as he's hit home runs off of 449 different pitchers in his career.
Yeah, he just needs to continue whatever he's doing, keep doing, because we all want to see him get to 700.
I want to see that, which means he goes past a fraud.
Yes.
Oh, and a real quick thing, without giving out a list, Savannah Bananas, also have a college wood bat team on top of their show team, for lack of a better term. They got 11 of the players that came to play with them were all drafted.
Wow.
To go to the major
leagues.
leagues.
That's impressive.
So there you go. I have a new name for our all-star name team.
All right.
And courtesy of the Miami Marlins, it's Huascar Brazoban.
Yeah.
Huascar Brazoban, as Tim Neverett called him.
He tried.
He did. So that's the new name to go with Skybolt and Lars Nootbaar.
Yeah.
We'll have another one for you next week. Jim Cott, who recently made his way to the Hall of Fame via the Veterans Committee, has been a broadcaster for quite a while, and he's in his 80s now, I guess. And he's
like 83.
Yep, and he's decided he's done immediately. He's not at the end of the season or nothing. He goes, I'm hanging him up. I'm done. Yeah,
he called a game, and he was done after that game. That was the last game he called. And he just said that, he's 83. He's been around the game a long time, but he said the game has changed. And
he just doesn't know the players like he did. Even if you go down in the dugout or in the clubhouse, it's just a whole different feel and vibe. And, he's been around. I got to see him pitch, but that just says how old I am, not so much anything about him.
Oh, our pal. We call him our pal. We want him to be our pal because we love baseball. It's fun, and we really like the way he plays the game. Brett Phillips, DFA'd by the Orioles.
Apparently, we're the only ones that like the way he plays.
I guess.
He's been DFA'd twice.
But he wasn't claimed on waivers. And so he has decided to stay with the organization, and he is in the AAA. He's playing in AAA.
Who's
So
the AAA team for them? Is that the Tides?
it's
The Norfolk Tides?
Norfolk. Or it's a Norfolk, but it's
Uh,
Norfolk. You gotta
Not
say
if you
Norfolk.
live there, it's not.
No,
It's-
exactly. Everyone else outside of that area.
So we got to see if we can get Brett Phillips on. Of course, he's got his baseball is fun line there. So you get to check that out. We can maybe put up a link for that somewhere. And
Yeah, they're just,
baseballisfun.com, I think, is
I think it
his
is.
website.
Yeah.
You can get just really basic but very cool T-shirts to say baseball is fun, among other things. And don't forget to stop by our website, siblingrivalrybb.com, and hit the Fanatics link, because you've got all kinds of stuff starting up now. You got all the NFL stuff. You got college football starting. So not only can you get your favorite Dodgers and Silver Linings team gear, you can get, stuff for your upcoming football season, for the playoffs, for, the Field of Dreams stuff is still there. So you can get all that, get yourself a new hat or whatever, a jersey, go get you a Pujols Cardinals jersey if you wanted. And this is last season of baseball. And while people were chanting to him, including Yachty and Adam Wainwright, who was out there on the mound, well, he was hitting 2 home runs. Adam Wainwright is pitching a gem of a game, 2 40-year-olds in one of those games, setting new records. It was almost like Ohtani was in town. And they're like, 1 more year. And he said, I'll be here next year watching you guys from the stands. I'm done. And it's kind of nice to see that this spurt that Albert's gone on is not making him reconsider. If it is, he hasn't let it out. But I think he's done. It really...
I think so too. And one of those home runs that he hit was a grand slam, which I feel should count for 2 home runs. It's a grand slam.
Yeah, well.
But that was the night. That was a pinch hit grand slam that he hit. And you mentioned Adam Wainwright. He pitched 7 innings, and that's when they beat the Rockies 13-0. But the Cardinals were the first team in big league history to have a player at least 40 years old hit a grand slam, and another at least 40 years old to pitch 7 shutout innings in the same game. Pujols is 42. Wainwright is 40. This is ever. This is not since like 1908 or 1891. This is ever. They made history in that game.
So now the Cardinals and the Brewers will continue to battle it out. But right now, the Cardinals look like they've got the presumptive MVP in this week's co-player of the week in Paul Goldschmidt. And Nolan Arenado's been solid. They're just really playing good baseball. So they're going to probably find their way in. And the Dodgers have yet to play them. So they're going to come through. Pujols will get to say his goodbyes to the team he called home last year towards the end of September. And in fact, I have my tickets to go see that on Cuz Bobblehead Night.
Woo! Yeah, finally, bobblehead for Cuz, the captain. Well, one Dodger that always took a long time in between pitches, but we still loved him. We called him Petey, and that's Pedro Baez. He has been released. He was with the Astros, was released by the Astros. The Dodgers picked him up on a minor league contract, and he has been released. He only appeared in 3 games with the Astros and before being released in April. He didn't come back to the mound until July. Then he moved to Oklahoma City to the AAA team. At the end of July, he had a 14.29 ERA, over 5 2/3 innings in OKC. And The last game was ridiculous. Don't even want to mention the score against the Sugarland Skeeters, but he allowed 5 runs
His
without
former team's AAA.
Yes. He allowed 5 runs without recording a single out, and I think that was probably the nail for him, and probably his career. I don't know that he will be, probably will be hanging it up, but good luck to Petey.
While you're talking about, because he's always been pretty much a reliever, talking about relievers with really high ERAs, it's beginning to look like the Brewers might have known something that nobody else knew. Josh Hader, since joining the Padres, has a 16.20 ERA.
Yeah.
And
talk about conspiracy theories.
Yeah. Hey, buyer beware, right?
That's it. You never know until you drive it off the lot.
So he's not been doing well right now. He's probably hoping that he can grab a stint on the wheel. Oh,
All right, let's take a spin. We got Nathan Eovaldi. He is listed as day-to-day, but he will most likely end up on the wheel. He has neck and shoulder strain from the Red Sox. Kyle Hendricks is recovering from a capsular tear in his shoulder, so he is on the 15-day IL. Yasmani Grandal, who really has been a bust for the White Sox, but hurt his knee, will be on the 10-day.
I saw that.
Yeah, it looked like it hurt really bad.
The only thing that I've ever seen that made my leg hurt more than what I saw then was seeing Joe Theismann leg broken. That was brutal.
I remember that. Dad and I were watching the game, and you could hear it snap. And that is a memory that I can still hear that snap. So not quite as bad, not, for Yasmani. He hurt his knee. X-rays and everything were negative, but he's going to be on the 10-day IL. Joey Votto had shoulder surgery that will end his season, and he had a great tweet. Something about, I thought I just was really bad.
I thought I stunk.
I thought I stunk. Right. That's what it was. I thought I stunk. But
I just thought I stunk. I was just not good at it.
I needed surgery. Antonio Senzatella of the Rockies had surgery to fix a torn left ACL. And then Jose Altuve is listed as day-to-day with a sore shoulder. So we will keep an eye on him and see if he hits.
What did he do? Run into like a table leg or?
Yeah, I think so.
He hit Yuri Gurriel's knee.
Yeah, in the dugout.
In the shoulder when he was walking by him.
Yep.
Yuli Gurriel was standing up. He wasn't.
He wasn't sitting down. Yeah, Zach Greinke is listed as day-to-day with a sore forearm. Shohei Ohtani right now is listed as day-to-day. As far as we know, it's a stomach virus, and that is what we, referred to and alluded to when he was pitching. Byron Buxton is also listed as day-to-day with the hip strain. So lots of guys that quite, are waiting, I think, to hop on the wheel. Maybe. So we'll watch. I don't think Shohei Ohtani will be on the wheel. He should be able to make his next start. But Zach Greinke, Jose Altuve, Byron Buxton definitely we will watch to see if they hop on the wheel permanently for 10 days, 15 days, whatever it may be. And then I always save the best for last. Cookie Carrasco will be out for the next 3 to 4 weeks with a low-grade oblique strain.
Oh, oblique, oh, my side. Oh, my side. Going back to Shohei real quick, if I played on the Angels, I'd probably have an upset stomach too.
Yeah, exactly.
So before we wrap things up today, apparently the Oakland A's still have not gotten back to us about any iteration of the Red Solo Cup or even the red Walmart cup or any cup thing. However, it seems like some folks are going to the games and have their own fun planned. Recently, sitting out, and honestly, I wouldn't think you'd have to sit in the farthest reaches in the upper deck there. You could probably get yourself a ticket almost behind home plate in Oakland, because there's just not that many people going to the games. But apparently on this last Sunday's game, they're at, I didn't know this, but it's Ring Central Stadium. The Coliseum is known as Ring Central Coliseum. And I guess a couple kind of up in, it looks like the left field outer reaches are, they got kind of caught a la flagrante.
Yeah, a little frisky.
Just a little bit. Just out there, they're like, hey, there's nothing going on in the game. How you feeling? You wanna get funky here? And apparently they did. And somebody was paying attention and took some pictures and video, and now the Oakland police are investigating this act.
Yes, they have the couple. They have not been identified. No one's been arrested as of yet or cited, but they are in violation of lewd acts in public, according to the code.
Then, as far as I'm concerned, then you've got to basically cite the whole Oakland A's organization for lewd acts. The way they play baseball is offensive.
If charged and convicted, the couple could face up to 6 months in jail and a fine of $10,000.
I say, if I'm the judge, I go, you went to an Oakland A's game, time served.
Yeah, and they were sitting in the top left corner of section 334. You know that they could have gotten better seats than that, but maybe they had other ideas.
Well, this is the thing. If they went there in order to do that, they were, hey, this will be kind of fun in an open place, whatever their reasoning is. Wouldn't it have been better if they tried a night game? Where it's a little less and maybe a little cooler, so they could maybe, but I guess if you really don't want, you don't care if people know, if that's the whole thing of being an exhibitionist, I guess you wouldn't want, you're okay if people have a feeling that they know what's going on, but at least they tried to be out away from everybody else. It does make me wonder if there was anybody else in that section, would they have done it?
Yeah, hopefully not, but I don't know. I mean, the A's did win. They beat the Mariners.
Well, and there you go.
5-3. So maybe
once again, you got to go with what works, right? Well, yeah, there's other places for things like that, but apparently these folks thought that the Ring Central Coliseum, and I wonder, if they'll be able to figure out who they are. They probably got better cameras where they could, get up there and get a better visual recognition, but they're not going to come forward and say, yeah, it was us. So it'll be interesting to see. Interesting to see what comes out of that. So at least there was something to talk about at an A's game.
Especially because Elvis is out of the building.
Okay, putting the chart back on the field. That'll wrap up this episode of the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, you can always find us on social media. And where is that social media, Director?
You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A, and on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And then, like we mentioned earlier, siblingrivalrybb.com is our website. You can hit the Fanatics link. We also ask you to go check out our friends over at Game Day Chic. Let's see if I get it right this time. Instagram is at the Game Day Chic. And then their website is Game Day Chic, and that's CHIC.com. Next week, we will be holding our own parade for the new Little League World Series champion. Who will it be? Will Jana be right? Will it be the team from Tennessee? Will it be one of the international teams? We'll know next week when you tune in here. We'll also see what happens in week 2 of the M&M series for the Dodgers. And will there be any more silver linings? Will there be more than one silver lining for the Angels next week? So we look forward to seeing you here next time, next Thursday, 1:10 p.m. Pacific time drop for the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. And don't forget to swing away.